This conference will now be recorded.
In the last session, we were talking about different points related to different kind of a project implementation methodology, types of SAP and all. We were understanding in which we had a basic idea, we had basic clarity. Everybody has got a different kind of a question marks striking your mind to know what is this, which you will be doing as part of your continuous learning, because that is how we need to improve our skill set, we need to improve our knowledge. Now what we will try to do is, I'll try to update certain point which are connected to accounting, which we are already aware of, but we will try to understand these points from SAP point of view as well. Let's say, first point we will talk about purchases. Second point we will talk about sales. I hope everybody is aware of purchases, sales, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
But whenever you're talking about purchases, whenever you're talking about sale, you're talking about buying and selling. You're talking about buying and selling of any product, of any service, or of any fixed asset. In case if you're talking about a purchases, this purchase is basically called as which module in accounting?
MM module.
MM
Accounts
module.
payable.
Purchase in accounting.
Accounts payable.
This is called as what?
CPC.
Accounts payable. Similarly, when we talk about sale, which module do we represent this?
Accounts receivable.
Receivable.
AR.
Accounts receivable, or this is AR. Now these two are called as main ledger or subledger.
Subledger.
Main ledger.
Subledger. This is called as subledger. Your AP is a subledger accounting. Your AR is also subledger accounting. Are my points correct?
Yes, sir.
Accounts payable is a subledger because in accounts payable we deal with whom?
Vendors.
Vendors.
You will be dealing with vendors here. Accounts receivable, we call it as a subledger because in accounts receivable we will be dealing with whom?
Customer.
Customers.
Customers. Now accounts payable is a P&L account or is it a balance sheet account?
Balance sheet account.
Account.
It is a balance sheet account. Similarly, accounts receivable,
Balance sheet account.
Yes. Yes, accounts.
Balance sheet.
this is also balance sheet account. Those who have background noise, please be on mute. Okay. Accounts payable is a balance sheet account. Accounts receivable is also a balance sheet account. But yesterday we understood in balance sheet there are two types of categories. What are those two in balance sheet?
Asset and liability.
Assets and liabilities. This vendor is a balance sheet account. In balance sheet, is it asset or is it liability?
Liability.
Liability.
Vendor is a liability. Vendor is a liability. Similarly, customer is what?
Asset.
Asset.
Customer is asset. Now within the liability, not everything is a liability, right? Within liability, we will segregate a liability. Within asset, we will segregate asset. Am I correct? In the reporting.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
This vendor is which liability in this?
Current liability.
Current
Current
liability.
liability.
Current liability.
Current liability. This asset is what asset?
Current asset.
Current asset.
Current asset. In short, if you know one liner, it is not sufficient. With the minimum basic fundamental point, you must be in a position to connect different points, right? Simply we talked about purchases, and then you talked about purchases is all about accounts payable. Accounts payable is a subledger because you are dealing with vendor. Vendors are part of balance sheet account. In balance sheet, it is liability. Under liability, this is current liability. Similarly, when you talk about sale, we understood sales is all about accounts receivable. Accounts receivable is a subledger because in accounts receivable, we are dealing with customer. Customer is part of balance sheet account. Within the balance sheet, it is asset. Under asset, this is classified as current asset. Are these all points relatable to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Right? Most of you are already aware of these points. It is just that we are trying to recollect. It is just that we are trying to refresh our knowledge related to basic fundamental accounting, with which as you move forward, you'll be able to feel more comfortable, more confident. Because when you're on SAP, I don't want anybody to talk about it. I don't want anybody to have any doubt, confusion about this point, because these are the basic fundamental immaterial, whether you are doing SAP or you are not doing SAP. If you are related to accounting, you must know or not. Am I correct?
Yes.
It is not that
Yes, sir.
only if you want to learn SAP FICO you should know this. As a finance candidate, as a commerce background candidate, as accounting related candidate, one must be aware of it. Am I correct? So no rule that
Yes.
only if you know SAP FICO you must know it. When we are telling it is nothing to do with your SAP FICO, it has got nothing to do with SAP FICO. Even if you are not learning SAP FICO, as a finance candidate, as an accounting candidate, you must be aware of it. That is what we are ensuring, that from a finance point of view, from the accounting point of view, considering these two from the business process point of view, we are trying to ensure we are able to understand what is happening in a business process. The same business process we will try to do it in SAP. In this process, you will automatically understand everything in a conceptual manner. Right? So here, when you're talking about purchases or when you're talking about sale, this is related to 3 points. When I say this is related to 3 points, my purchases can be of 3 types, or I may be purchasing 3 types of items here. What could be my purchases? These 3 types.
Credit purchases, cash purchases,
No, asset
Okay, one is,
purchases.
credit,
Materials will be
yeah,
asset.
that is also correct.
cash.
Let me put cash purchases. Let me also put credit purchases. Right? If you look at it, for everything I'm writing side by side in the same line, this will be replaced with what?
Sales,
Sales.
Sales.
Cash sales, and this will be credit sales. When I say I am writing everything in side by side in the same row, just to make sure that if you know purchasing process, you automatically know sales process, or other way around. If you know sales process, you automatically know purchase process. Everything is quite opposite.
yes, sir.
Yes.
Correct? Because only when you have customer vendor, there is a transaction. Agree? Without customer, you cannot sell anything. Without vendor, you cannot buy anything. Is my statement correct?
Yes. Yes.
Without customer, you cannot sell product to anybody. Without vendor, you cannot buy product from anybody. Now, here you are trying to think from both perspective, from the purchasing point of view, from the sales point of view, considering the same transaction. Only then you will avoid confusions related to AP, confusions related to AR. Most of the time we may be hearing people telling I am good at AP but I am not good at AR. I am good at AR but not good at AP. I have a confusion between AP AR. This kind of a confusion should not be there, because there are so many things. There are so many things which are connected with APAR, payable, receivable, purchases, sales, customer, vendor in SAP FICO. Right from the beginning, if you're trying to make yourself comfortable with this point, it will allow you to feel more and more confident as you move forward. Now, ideally, from here, you may be having cash sale, cash purchase, credit purchase. I may also be purchasing different kind of items, like I may purchase material. What else I can purchase? Services.
Assets. Yes.
So whenever we are talking about asset, from now onwards, you have to be very particular. It is a fixed asset, not just asset. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Okay.
Yes.
Similarly, you can also sell material. You can also sell service. You can also sell your fixed asset. Possible or not?
Yeah.
Yes, possible.
We can also sell it. Now, majoritarily, whenever we make the sale, whenever we make purchases, there are two types of purchases. One is direct purchases and other one is PO based purchases, direct purchases or non-PO purchases. Anybody heard this terminology?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
When we are talking about PO, what is PO representing?
Purchase order.
Purchase order.
Purchase order. Similarly, if I copy paste this here, I can replace it
Then
direct or P is representing purchase, S is
Sale.
representing sale. I will
Sale.
replace
Yeah.
it with the sales. So PO based purchases will be replaced with SO based sale.
Sale.
Here SO
SO
is
based
representing sales
Sales
order.
order.
sales
Am I
order.
clear?
Yeah.
Right. PO is part of which module?
MM model.
MM.
MM module. SO is part of which module?
SD.
SD.
SD module. Here MM is equal to what?
Material management.
Material management.
Material management.
Materials management. SD is equal to what?
Sales
Sales
and
and
distribution.
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 Sales and distribution. We are which module consultant? MM or SD or FI?
FI.
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 We are FI module consultant. So what we need to do? We know that our purchases are happening from MM side also. We know that our sales are happening from SD side also.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Purchases is equal to accounting impact. Is there any accounting impact when you do a purchase or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
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 Yes, sir.
Right.
Goods
Similarly,
Yeah.
whenever you make any sale, is there any accounting impact or not?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. If I'm talking about accounting impact, it is nothing but accounting or journal entry. Am I correct? When I'm
Yes, sir.
talking about accounting entry, it is nothing but there is an accounting entry or there is a journal entry. Is my statement right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So whenever we say there is an accounting impact, it is representing there is a debit credit accounting entry. So for purchases, basically we need to know what is the accounting entry. Similarly for sales, we need to know what is the accounting entry. Now when accounting entry is posted in directly FI module, it is a direct purchases. When a sales entry is directly posted in FI module, it is a direct sales. But sometimes we are telling purchase is happening from the purchase order, sale is happening from the sales order,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
right? So
Yeah.
here your FI module is receiving the accounting entry from which module?
MM module.
module.
MM module. So this is called as FI-MM integration. Here your FI is receiving the accounting entry from which module?
HD module.
SD
module.
module. It is called as FI-SD integration. Anybody heard these two terminologies specifically so far?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right? This is a must. This is a mandatory for every SAP FICO consultant. In every SAP FICO interview, discussion question about MMST integration is mandatory. Without these two topic discussion, there is no SAP FICO interview for anybody, irrespective of your experience, whether your 0 year experience or your n number of years of experience. This discussion is mandatory. Agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And these two are related to a basic simple fundamental called purchases and sale. And we are all aware, in any organization purchases and sales are mandatory.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
If you
sir.
know purchases, if you know sale, you must know FI-MM integration, you must know FI-SD integration. You cannot tell I know purchases, I do not know FI-MM integration. Similarly, you cannot tell I know sale, I do not know FI-SD integration. Not accepted by anybody, no matter what. Strictly not acceptable if you tell I know purchases, I know accounts payable, but I do not know FI-MM integration. Nobody will accept it. Similarly, I know sale, I know customer, I know accounts receivable, but unfortunately I do not know what is FI-SD integration. Nobody will accept it. If you are taking accounts payable, if you are taking accounts receivable, if you're talking about customer, if you're talking about vendor, you're talking about SAP FICO. Without FI-MM integration, do not know, do not understand, do not talk anything about vendor. Similarly, if you're talking about customer, do not talk about anything related to AR, accounts receivable, customer, if you do not know FIST integration. It is as simple as that. You do not know anything if you do not know FIST related to AR. Similarly, if you do not know FIMM integration, you do not know anything about AP. Why we do not know, why we should not say it? If you look at it, in any organization, purchases are mostly with PO. Agree with my statement?
Yes. Yes.
In any company you take, small company, big company, check with your friends whoever is working. Ask them, how do you purchase? Do you directly go and purchase it, or you place the order and then you get the shipment? What will happen? They will place the order,
Yes, sir.
correct? Similarly, sale
Yes.
also same thing. Sales are mostly with SO. There are exceptions without purchase order. There are exceptions without sales order, but majority of your sale, majority of your purchase is strictly purchase order, sale order. Wherever purchase order is there, FI-MM integration is existing there. Wherever sales order is there, FI-SD integration is there. As a FICO consultant, you must be familiar, you must be comfortable, you must be confident on these two areas. Reason why we are talking about these 2 points, Even before we did not talk anything, because these are all very, very important, very critical, very crucial for every FICO consultant. You will see many people struggling to understand FI-MM integration, FI-SD integration even after attending interviews also. Reason, they prepare, they understand only with the purpose of interview preparation, which is not going to give you a clear, logical, conceptual understanding. When you know total purchases or almost every purchase in every organization is with purchase order, there is no other go. You have to know it. No exception, no excuses here. Similarly for sale. When we know there is no exception, when we know there is no excuse, you cannot ignore it, you cannot take them light. When you're trying to understand, when you're putting effort, put effort in such a way that you will not forget them. When you talk to the other person, you will talk with confidence. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now here, most of the times, you would have heard something called P2P cycle. Anybody heard P2P cycle?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right. Similarly, what is called here? Which cycle is used here?
O2C.
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 O2C cycle. Now in P2P cycle, let's assume that it is containing a certain process. I'll put sequence. 1, I will tell PO. 2, what I can write?
Goods receipt.
Okay, GRN. 3, what I can write?
IR.
Invoice.
Invoice receipt. 4th, I can write
Payment.
payment. 5th,
Payment.
I can write BRS.
BRS. Yeah.
Similarly, what I can write here? PO is SO.
SO.
PGI.
Next,
PGI.
delivery.
Yeah, delivery.
Then
PGI.
PGI.
Billing.
Then billing.
Yeah.
Next,
Invoice.
Incoming payment.
No, payment. Receipt. Sorry.
payment.
Receipt.
Incoming
And then BRS.
PRS.
We call it as payment only, incoming, outgoing. Payment received,
Okay.
payment made. Okay. Now we are talking a specific point here. FI-MM integration. We are talking a specific point here. FI-SD integration. Not everything is FI-MM integration. Not everything is FI-SD integration. Wherever there is an accounting entry, only there you are talking about FI-MM integration or FI-SD integration. Purchase order, will there be any accounting entry?
No.
No, sir.
No.
No. GRN, any accounting entry? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
GRN, there is an accounting entry. Let me mark it. Okay. Invoice, any accounting entry?
Yes.
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 GRN
Payment has
no.
got anything to do with MM side, or it is
No.
pure accounting activity?
Pure
Accounting
Pure accounting activity. BRS, anything to do with MM side or pure accounting?
Pure accounting activity.
Pure
Okay.
accounting activity. Similarly, if I go to OTC cycle, sales order, any accounting entry?
No.
No.
No. Delivery, any accounting entry?
No Rocker.
Yes.
Delivery also, there is no accounting entry. PGI, any accounting entry?
Yes.
Yes.
PGI, there is an accounting entry. Billing, is there any accounting entry?
Yes.
Yes, we have.
Yes. Payment, anything to do with SD or it is pure accounting?
Pure accounting entity.
It's
Pure accounting. BRS?
BRS pure accounting entity.
BRS also, it is purely accounting entry. If you look at FI-MM integration, You must know P2P cycle, point number 1. Point number 2, within the P2P cycle, where your accounting entries are coming. Clear? 2 points. First point, purchase order until BRS. Second point, where your FI-MM is getting integrated, only at 2 positions, GRN and then invoice receipt. Similarly, FI-SD integration, you need to know the full process. Others, please go on mute. Those who are not talking. Shaker. Okay. So in the sales order process also, there are only 2 places where your accounting entry is coming. One is at PGI level, 2 is at billing level. What accounting entry is coming, how it is coming and all, we will see later on. But initially, to begin with, these key points you must remember. Am I clear? Initially, to begin, these key points you must know. No exceptions, no excuses here strictly. There is not even a 1% that you will ignore it, not even a single percentage that you will take it light. You must know without any exceptions, without any excuses. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Alright, this is one point which you need to understand. Next thing, what we need to do is, what we need to understand basically, there is something called financial reporting on a monthly basis. Is this mandatory for every organization or not?
Yes, sir, it is mandatory.
Yes, sir.
Doing financial reporting on a monthly basis, mandatory for every organization. No excuses, no exceptions here also. It has got nothing to do with SAP. Whether you are using SAP or not using SAP, you must know it. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Whether you are using SAP or not using SAP, you must know this. Now, what will happen here is, first one, you need to ensure accounting cycle you are aware. You must be aware of accounting cycle. When you're talking about accounting cycle, it is a flow of activities which are carried out until you perform the reporting on a monthly basis. So what is going to happen? You will have business transaction first. Based on the business transaction, what will happen?
General entry.
Ledger
Journal
posting.
entry. Based on the journal
Ledger.
entry,
Ledger.
ledger reporting. Based on the
Trial
ledger,
balance. Trial balance.
Trial balance.
Trial balance.
trial balance. Based on trial balance,
Profit and
P&L.
loss account.
PL.
P&L.
Balance sheet. Balance
Based
sheet.
on that balance sheet.
Balance sheet.
If I take this as first point, and if I take this as second point, if I take this as third point, if I take this as fourth point, if I take this as fifth point, if I take this as my last sixth point, are these correct? Is this the sequence which must be followed,
Ye-
or any excuses here?
Yes.
Correct.
Any excuses anywhere in this world?
No, sir.
No, sir.
All over the world, universally, this is the flow, this is the process one must follow. Whether you are using SAP or not using SAP, it has got nothing to do. You're talking about reporting, you're talking about financial, you're talking about accounting, you're talking about MIS reporting, you're talking about checking my company performance, whether I'm getting profit, I'm getting a loss, what is my asset, what is my liability, what is my financial position. This is what is required. In SAP also it is applicable or it is not applicable.
It is
Applicable.
applicable.
This is applicable even in SAP also, no exceptions here. So what we need to do here is, when you're talking about accounting cycle, this you need to remember first. This should always be in your mind anytime. No matter whether you're learning SAP FICO, you're not learning SAP FICO, you're talking about accounting cycle must be in your mind. Now to do it, there are certain basic fundamentals which everybody would have heard, something called golden. What are those golden rules?
Golden rules of accounting, personal, real, and nominal account.
Let's say I'll put rule. First rule is what?
Personal,
Personal account.
Real
Personal
account.
accounting. Second
Real
is
accounting.
Debit the receiver, credit the giver.
real accounting. Third
Nominal
one,
accounting.
nominal accounting. Okay, personal accounting, real accounting, nominal accounting, or personal account, real account, nominal account. Either ways you can tell, it is okay. Now this is your rule. Basically this is the rule that you're talking about. Once we put the rule here, next point, every rule contains debit
Debit and credit. Yeah.
and credit. Right? In every rule there is a debit, in every rule there is a credit. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
According to personal account, what will be debited?
Debit the
debit the
receiver.
giver,
Debit the receiver.
Debit the
Credit,
receiver. Yeah. Giver.
credit, giver.
giver.
According to real account, what we need to do?
Debit what
Debit
comes
what
in.
comes in,
Debit what comes in, credit
What goes out.
what goes out.
what goes out. Okay. Nominal account,
Debit
All
all
loss
expenses and losses.
all
Expenses and losses.
expenses on and losses.
Credit all incomes and gains. All incomes and
Incomes
gains.
and gain. Gain is nothing but profit.
Yes.
Gain is nothing but profit. Now this is the fundamental rule for debit. This is fundamental rule for credit. Am I correct?
Yes.
Any accounting entry that you write in SAP or in accounting, wherever you're talking about, these are the fundamentals which we need to know. These are the fundamentals which we need to know, based on which your debit credit is recording in entire accounting. You look at any accounting entry in any system, for every debit, for every credit, these are the only reasons. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
For any debit, for any credit, these are the only reason, which slowly we need to understand. For example, if I write one or two accounting entries just to make you feel comfortable, let's say first point, if I say rent debit, cash credit, why are we debiting rent?
Expense always debit.
Debit all
Expense.
expenses and losses.
It's expenses.
This is because of expense. Why are we
Expense.
crediting cash?
Cash what goes out.
Goes out.
Because cash is
Real
going
account.
out. If you receive
Credit.
cash, it is a different. If you are losing cash, it's a different. Am I correct? For example, if I take customer debit, sales credit, Why are we debiting a customer?
Receiver.
Debit the receiver.
Receiver.
Okay. Why are you crediting sale?
Debit credit what goes out.
Credit.
Receiving the income.
Giver.
Why are you crediting a sale?
No, it
Debiting
is
the
a
income.
real
Income,
account. What
income, income, income,
Incomes.
Income.
income,
This is
income.
income. Sale you're crediting because it is income. Right? These kind of small confusions are quite common for everybody. Nothing to worry about it. You are fixing all your basic understanding related issues at the beginning itself, so that as we move forward, you will not find any fundamental, any technical difficulties because of accounting, without which you will not be able to understand SAP FICO. Am I clear?
Yes.
Alright. For example, if I'm talking about, let's say, bank debit, customer credit. Why bank is debited?
What comes in?
Is real account.
Correct.
Giver. Giver.
Comes in
What comes
and
in? Money is coming in your bank account. Why customer credit?
no,
Customer
giver.
receives. No, giver.
Who is giving money? Customer is giving. Customer is giver here. One way customer is becoming a receiver. Other way customer is becoming the receiver.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
No. If I put purchase account debit, vendor account credit, why am I debiting my purchase account?
Expenses are
It's
debited.
an
Expense,
expense.
expense account.
Expenses. Now, one point here, whenever you're talking about any expenses, there are two types of expenses. What are those two?
Direct and indirect.
direct, indirect.
Cash, cash,
No, no,
cash and credit.
Capital expenditure.
Revenue
Capital.
capital.
correct.
Expenses.
Capex and OPEX.
Capital and
Capital.
revenue.
You must know this, right? Now here it is applicable for purchase alone. This expense is applicable for purchase alone. Whenever you are purchasing, if your purchased item is going to balance sheet, is it capex or opex?
Capex.
Capex.
Capex. Whenever you are purchasing, if your purchase is going to P&L account, then what it is called?
OPEX.
Operating
Operational.
expense.
Opex.
Capex.
That is the only difference. If you are purchasing asset, capital expenditure. If you are purchasing any expenses, operating expenses. Clear? So tomorrow when somebody is asking what do you mean by capex opex, don't get confused. Both are
Ajay, can
expenses
you
used for the purpose of purchases. Okay, depending on the nature of a product, nature of item that you are purchasing, it will be decided. Am I
Sir,
clear?
voice is little echoing, sir.
I think somebody who is turned on their mic with a speaker, this could be the reason. Those who are on speaker, please mute when you're not talking so that there will be no echo. Clear? Is it okay now?
Got it.
Right? Those who are using a speaker, please try to use earphone or headphone so that it will not be echo. Echo will come basically when you're using speaker. Okay, try to avoid speaker. If you are using on speaker, please put a earphone or be on mute. Because if there is an echo or if there is a disturbance, it will be difficult for you to understand in the recording when you refer.
It is good now.
Okay. Now, why are we putting vendor account credit?
It's a giver.
Giver.
Vendor is a giver. For example, if I put another accounting entry here, let's say vendor debit here, bank credit here. Why am I debiting vendor here?
Receiver.
What comes in?
Vendor
What?
is a receiver. Bank is giving the
Why?
money to you. So
Vendor is receiving money for which we have purchased.
Correct. Why bank credit?
What goes
What
In
in?
goes
in our
out?
in our bank account, fund is outgoing, so that it was
In our bank account,
debited.
money is going out or funds are going out. So bank account is credit. Now, if you see everywhere, you are playing with only these 3 points to decide any accounting entry.
Yes.
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 Your entire accounting entries are written with the help of these 6 basic fundamentals only. So don't try to by heart. Don't try to understand accounting entries in such a way that you will end up writing a book. You need additional sheet, you need additional book to write accounting entries. Don't do it. Understand the concept, understand the logic with which you will be able to understand, you will be able to write any accounting entry in any scenario. Clearer?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? When you're looking at the points, when you're looking at the different scenarios, make sure you're understanding why we are debiting this, why we are crediting this. Instead of by hearting, you should know what is happening there. Now, all these are possible. These are all what? Journal entries or accounting entries.
Yes.
Journal
Check.
entry.
Accounting.
These journal entries, these accounting entries are not same every time, right? So far, I have listed the different accounting entries,
Yes.
right? I have written different accounting entries because I have different business transaction. Here I may say we paid rent. Here I may say we received money from customer. Here I can say we purchased something from a vendor. Here I can say we sold something to our customer. Here I can say we paid money to the bank. I mean, we paid money to vendor. These are all different business transactions or not, right? For every business transaction, there is a different accounting entry. True? Yes or no? For every
Yes.
Yes, sir.
business transaction,
Yes, sir.
there is a different accounting entry. Meaning, you cannot straight away get into journal entry in your accounting. You cannot straight away get into any journal entry in accounting without knowing a business transaction if you know accounting properly. If you do not know accounting properly, no surprise,
None,
we will
sir.
straight away begin with a journal entry. If we do not know accounting properly, what we will do? We will straight away get into journal entry, which may not be correct. You need to ensure I am talking about a particular business process. For this particular business process, I need to debit this account. I need to credit this account. Only when you know the business process, only when you understand what is happening, it is possible for anybody to write what is debit, what is credit. Point number one. Point number two, for anybody to say you're right or you're wrong. If I tell that I have listed this accounting entry, for example, I am saying that this accounting entry, if I show this entry, if I ask, do you tell this is right or wrong? I will only show this. I don't put this. I'll not put this. I'll only show this accounting entry. By looking at this accounting entry, is it correct or incorrect from accounting perspective?
Say incorrect, sir. We need the
From accounting
narrations.
perspective, the accounting
It is,
entry is correct or not? Only debit credit.
yeah, it is correct.
It
It
is
is
correct only,
correct.
right? But if I don't tell why I am writing this accounting entry, can you tell it is correct or not correct?
No.
I should tell you what happened. I should tell what happened because of which I wrote this accounting entry. In short,
Yeah.
in accounting, there is something called supporting document. Anybody heard this supporting document terminology?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Invoice like that. Sir.
Right? So in short, there should be a proof of the transaction. Without the proof of transaction, without the supporting document, normally we will not write anything in accounting. Is my statement correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
For example, I came to office by a cab. I want to reimburse the amount. Possible or not?
Yes, sir.
This is possible.
Yes.
Let's say on a weekend, on a strike day, on a night time, you traveled to the office by cab, for which your manager said, or there is a policy in your HR that you can claim the transportation charges. Now, can I go and tell my accountant or my manager, today I came by taxi, bill is 500, please pay. Will you get or you will not get?
No.
Not get.
We will not get.
We need to
You will
provide a
not get,
supporting document.
Document.
right? You need to provide the taxi bill,
Yes.
right? You need to provide taxi or cab bill is required. Usually, we will be using bill. This bill is nothing but invoice. Bill and
Yeah.
invoice are the same.
Yes.
You need a taxi bill, you
Yes.
need a cab bill. Either manual or system generated.
చపాతి
Agree?
చేసిన చపాతి చేసి ఓ పని చేస్తాను.
Right? You will require either a system generated invoice or you require a manual generated invoice, without which it is not possible for you to get the claim. Am I correct?
Yes.
Likewise, whatever you do, you need a bill, meaning this is called as a supporting documentation. When you look at the supporting documentation, you understand what happened. Agree?
Yes.
Correct.
When you look at the supporting documentation, you will understand what happened. Only then you will know whether your accounting is right or wrong. Tomorrow, in any organization, there is something called audit.
Audit. Yeah.
This audit is of two types. There are two types of audit. What are these two types of audit?
Internal and
Statutory
external.
audit and internal audit.
ఇంటర్నల్ అండ్ ఎక్స్టర్నల్ ఆడిట్స్.
Internal audit will be there, and then external audit will be there. Either internal or external, they will verify our accounting. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Either
sir.
internal auditor or external auditor, they are going to verify our accounting.
షర్ట్ వేసుకో బాబాయ్.
Okay, either internal auditor or external auditor, they are going to check our accounting. When they are checking our accounting, what they do, they will ask for the supporting documentation or not.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
they do.
Anybody who are experienced in accounting, is it correct?
Yeah.
They will randomly pick some sample. They want you to produce the complete documentation related to the transaction, only with which they will say whether you are doing accounting correctly or not. Even if there is a 1 rupee difference, they will mark it. They'll put the audit comments or not. Accounting is
Yes.
incorrect. Accounting is incorrect. The entries
Yeah.
are not posted properly. There is no mechanism to verify the accounting and all. Agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
These points we need to ensure. These points we need to ensure right from the beginning. This is how every organization, this is how every client, this is how every user records the accounting in any organization. If they come to SAP, these are not an exception. Am I correct? These
Yes.
are still applied as usual. These are still followed as usual, irrespective of the application. Yes or no?
Yes.
So tomorrow when you're working in any organization as a SAP FICO consultant, when your internal auditor or when your external auditor is requesting any information or they need any clarification, not every information, not every clarification is provided by the client, is provided by the user. Sometimes they will involve you as a FICO consultant. You may have to talk, you may have to provide clarifications to the auditor. Yes or no? They
Yes.
say that, this report is coming from SAP, this data is coming from SAP. I do not know how system is working. You can please reach out to our SAP consultant, or you can please, I will arrange a meeting with my, the SAP FICO consultant. You can discuss with them. No surprise, you might come sit in front of the auditor. Auditor might ask you different questions. You must be in a position to understand and answer or not. As a FICO consultant, can I say to the auditor, sorry, I do not know?
No.
No, we can't say that.
You
We should
cannot say. You
answer.
have to give the answer. You have to answer. Because you are the one who is working on the SAP. You are the one who is providing support on SAP. You are the one who set up the system for their business process. Now you are the one who is supposed to clarify. Yes, no?
Yes.
Simply just like
Yes.
that, you cannot say no, I do not know. Not accepted anywhere. Right? So when you know these points right from the beginning, when you're understanding the points, we will be in a position to think with a different mindset. Otherwise, we will be thinking in a different mindset, which is not going to be applicable, which is not going to be helpful as you move forward. As you move forward, wherever you go, to whosoever you discuss, you should feel comfortable, you should feel confident. If you're talking to somebody, or if you are in middle of somebody, or if you are with somebody who is working on SAP FICO as a consultant, please make sure you are in a position to understand what they are talking about. Whether you know, you do not know, it's a different story. But at least you should ensure that, okay, I'm able to relate something, I'm able to understand something. Yes or no? Because
Yes.
tomorrow you are going to do the
Yes.
same thing. Tomorrow in your project, you may be doing on the same thing, you may be working on the similar thing. But understanding these points is very, very important. These points, when you're able to understand, these points, when you're able to relate, tomorrow when you're talking to the any person, maybe interviewer, maybe your friend, maybe your project team, maybe your client, maybe your user, maybe anyone, you sound confident, you look comfortable. Otherwise, for many things, we will be very uncomfortable. We will be feeling very ashamed that I do not know this. I'm not even in a position to respond. I'm not even in a position to understand what is the question all about. Many situations will come across in your life as you move forward if you know many things right from the beginning. Otherwise, what will happen? You may be in front of the client, you may be in front of a user, you may be with your project team member, you may be with your friend, whosoever. What if your friend is asking you about certain questions? I am also planning to learn SAP FICO. Since you're already learning SAP FICO, can you tell me what are all this? I'm hearing these points. Can you tell me what it is? You must be in a position to tell and convince your friend or not. Agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Whatever you're telling to your friend, if your friend is not convinced, whatever you're telling is not okay. Or you told everything, after hearing everything, your friend is telling, sorry, I did not understand. Can you please repeat one more time? Is it okay? Not okay, right? You're not talking to prove what is your knowledge. You're not talking to prove what is your skill set. You're talking, you're explaining to ensure the opposite person, the other person is able to understand. Am I correct?
Yes.
Whether your friend, whether your client, whether your user, whether your interviewer, whether anybody. Is that the intention? This is not a talk show. This is not a competition. Who talks for long hours? Who talks for non-stop? Who talks better in English? Nobody is going to give any prize. Nobody is going to give any award. At the end, the other person to whosoever you are discussing with, Please make sure they are understanding what you're trying to tell. That's all. Your message should be conveyed to the other person. To convey that message, whatever the way you talk, it's up to you. Please make sure after telling the total story, your friend is not asking or the other person is not asking, sorry, I did not understand. Can you please repeat it once again? This kind of a statement, please don't get it. It is clearly representing whatever you told, the other person did not understand. Take it in the other way around. Don't think that they do not know, they are not able to understand, it is their fault. Instead, think that why I am not able to talk, that other person will understand. Because tomorrow for you to get the job, tomorrow for you to get selected in your interview, whatever you talk, your interviewer should understand. Am I correct? In the interview, whatever you talk tomorrow, your interviewer should understand. Only then he will select. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
That is the target. You are talking, you are explaining about every question, but your interviewer is not understanding what you are talking about, or he is not convinced. He will simply give negative feedback stating candidate is not okay. Make sure when you talk, other person understands what it is. Talk in simple terminology, simple basic fundamental terms. The intention objective is to tell the other person that whatever they are asking for, you are aware of it. Not to prove your knowledge, not to show anything. It is just to let the other person know whatever the information that they are looking for, you know about it and you are capable to do it. Am I clear? Otherwise, you may talk, but I may
Yes.
not be in a position to understand, will not give any meaningful result. It might take a little time, it is okay. We just started, we are on day 3. We just started, we are on day 3, and first 1 month we are not going to consider, nothing to worry about it. In this 1 month, you will get to know so many points, you will be completely tuned in such a way that, okay, for me to become a FICO consultant, these are all the points I need to know. All the prerequisite points will sit in your mind in a crystal clear manner, so that after a month, when we start our actual understanding, when we start our actual learning, you will be able to understand each and every point crystal clear. Okay, this is the reason I'm doing it. I'm doing this to achieve this. To do that, I need to understand this. To do it, I need to know this. To do this, I need to know that. Different points you are in a position to understand without any heading. You should not put any heading in your SAP FICO learning. When I say you should not put any heading, don't put heading like enterprise structure, global parameters, accounts payable, accounts receivable, down payment. These kind of headings, please don't put it. Let everything get registered in your mind as a business process or as a SAP standard functionality. That's all. Otherwise, what will happen, whenever somebody is asking any question, you will first think, is it related to GL? Is it related to AP? Is it related to AR? Is it related to house bank? Is it related to taxation? Is it related to asset? Is it related to document splitting? Am I correct? We will start thinking this is related to which topic? Yes or no? Don't think about it in that way. That is not the right way of understanding any point in SAP FICO. You should know every point from the business process point of view, because every point contains different modules interconnected. Every point contains different modules interconnected. If you go in that way, you will end up getting a lot of confusion. You may be able to answer, you may be able to do it, but not quickly. When I say not quickly, you may be thinking, you may be, trying to understand, trying to recollect what it is, what is that. That should not be the point. When you hear a requirement, when you hear a process, immediately things should strike your mind. For that, you have to tune your mind in the similar way right from the beginning, because these things will not happen overnight. Am I correct? If I tell today, tomorrow I cannot expect you to be like this, right? It takes time. I have to wait, you have to wait. Yes or no? Whatever I
Yes,
tell
sir.
today, you will not remember, you will not understand by tomorrow. It takes time. because slowly you need to ensure you are getting comfortable with it, you are feeling confident, you are becoming familiar. Only then you will slowly see the difference. And for that we have a month time. In this 1 month, you will see the drastical change in your understanding, in your thought process, in your view, perception of SAP FICO. That will make you feel more confident. Everybody will practically feel the difference. And with that different thought process, you will see SAP FICO in a different way. That's where you will understand what is FICO, what you need to understand, how you need to prepare, what you need to practice. Clear, right? So for initial couple of days, we will be discussing different mandatory points which you must know, which I must tell you, so that you feel confident, you feel comfortable. Then we will go in a conceptual sequential order in which I will be asking, I'll be clarifying, I'll be addressing each and every question, whatever you have, right from debit, credit, whatever it is, I'll answer all your questions. All right. Initially, we will be discussing different points to connect different dots. Once we are connecting different dots, then we will open talking one to one in such a way that all your doubts, all your confusions are clarified. Clear, right?
Yes.
Initially, just try to
Yes.
understand what is what we're talking, what we're understanding. Just make sure yourself comfortable on what we're discussing. That's all. That is more than enough. Even if you're able to capture 10% of what we're discussing, it is sufficient. As I said, we are going to discuss in detail about everything to ensure everybody is confident. All right, fine, then let us stop this for now. We will continue at the same time tomorrow in the evening. All right, good night.
Good night, sir.
Have a
Good
nice
night,
Thank you.
Ajay.
Yeah,
Good
good
night.
night. Yeah.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.